everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jennifer. In this video, I'll be showing you how to make these beautiful sea glass trees. In case you haven't been following, this is part of my Christmas countdown of crafts going on right now. This year I've been gathering items typically found in nature and using them in easy projects that should take about an hour to complete. If you can't get outside to find these supplies, you can always purchase alternatives in craft stores too. So if you're interested in making these trees this holiday season, stay with me and I'll walk you through each step. These are the supplies I used. Styrofoam cones. I made mine with a 7-inch size, but you could make yours smaller or create a pair. A strand of fairy lights. I got this 12-pack on Amazon and they measure 7 feet in length. I'll link them in the description for your convenience. I also used floral plant pins and I purchased my sea glass at Dollar Tree, but you can certainly gather it at the beach as well. I opened up 4 packs so I'd have more to choose from, but only ended up using about 3. Also, you'll need to have plenty of hot glue on hand, and later on in this video, you'll see that I use sea salt as sort of a natural glitter. The first thing I did was trace the battery pack so it would be recessed underneath the bottom of the tree. I used a box cutter to remove the material and didn't get this on camera because it was really messy, so I hollowed it out over top of a trash can. The battery pack stayed in there on its own, but during the decoration process, I held it in place with a piece of painter's tape. I wasn't quite sure if I'd need to follow a certain pattern or not, so for good measure, I made marks around the cone at 1-inch increments. Looking back, I don't know that this was necessary, although it did help me in placing the fairy lights at about a 1/2 inch with each pass. I used the floral pins to hold them in place, and because of the depth of the prongs, could only go up so far towards the top, so I used hot glue up there. Then I dumped the sea glass out where I could see all of the shapes and colors. I debated on doing each row in a uniform shade, but decided to keep it totally random. I also wasn't sure if I wanted to place the pieces flat or overlap them. You can make your tree however you'd like, but I decided to lay my pieces flat since I've never made this before. If I do any later on, I might try a different method. I basically started a bottom row, then worked my way up slowly. If you don't like puzzles, this probably is not a good project for you. I glued straight over the lights. I figured if the battery dies, I can easily replace it. I filmed in time-lapse mode because this would be extremely boring to watch in real time. When I finally made it to the top, I couldn't decide what I needed. I have a resin starfish craft I could have used as a topper, but it was really too large for this cone. I tried to make some type of fan or crown shape at the top of some of the glass, but I still wasn't really thrilled with it. I also didn't like the slight cracks in between the pieces, so I decided to use hot glue and sea salt as sort of a natural glitter. You could always layer the pieces and create a second or even third row of glass. That is totally up to you. I worked from the top down and sort of shot the glue in between the pieces like mortar. Again, I filmed in time lapse to move things along. Once the glue dried, the sea salt was pretty hard, and I think it will end up holding up over time. I was still conflicted with what to do at the top, so I cut one of the snowflakes off the garland I had laying on my table in the background, and I coated it with sea salt as well. Overall, I think it turned out pretty cute, and I love anything with a vacation vibe. After the first tree was completed, I decided to go ahead and create a companion with a 5.5-inch styrofoam cone, but instead shape the glass in more of a branch type pattern. I wasn't sure how to go about getting an angle on the first row, so I tried placing rubber bands around the base, but soon realized they would show through the glass, so I simply created a dent in the cone and attached them using hot glue. On a side note, most of the glass pieces I had were too large, so I placed them back in the bag and hit them with a hammer. Make sure you protect your eyes, and you might want to wear gloves too. The small shards are sharp, but the big pieces were okay to work with as long as you're careful. After I placed the first row, I decided to reinforce it by adding additional pieces on the underside. Just make sure they don't stick out further than the first row, or else the tree will not sit flush. The next series is filmed in time-lapse. Again, this would be extremely boring at normal speed, but essentially I worked in rows from the bottom up, gradually making the pieces smaller as I progressed. When I got to the top, I used the tiny shards at the bottom of my bowl and also glued them to the top of the snowflake.
Using an artist brush, I cleared any hot glue strings away. Then I set the glass by giving it a coat of Gorilla Glue spray. So let me know which one you like better and drop a comment to tell me if you plan to try this for yourself.
So I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see the rest of the countdown. You can also find me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook as well. As always, thanks for watching and supporting my channel. Until next time, take care.